that what you're talking about is not just the word, but the overall cultural group.
Okay.
What we have tended in the past to call Latina. Do you know what I'm saying?
I'm just going to read what I wrote. I'm not sure if that's exactly what you wanted.
Well, what is it that as interpreters we're going to now interact and be in a situation that our people who are Latinx, meaning men and women and people who are gender non-binary, would be in a place and they are from that cultural group.
Mm-hmm.
What are some norms and behaviors that they may be exhibiting? Not just what that word means.
Okay, I don't have that. I just
Okay.
I have where it came from and what it means and
So you're just
why.
explaining the word. No, we want the information on a cultural group.
Okay.
And that cultural group nowadays is tended to call Latinx instead of Latina. Yeah, and you're right, because of the masculine only identity with that. Yeah.
Okay. Do you want me to just read what I have and then?
If you're just defining the term and not doing any more, maybe someone else talk about their culture.
Okay.
And I'm backing out. I'm just watching now.
I don't mind going next.
Okay.
I looked at Somali culture, a little bit of history with their culture and their people. They were a country with one common ancestor. That their country was actually separated into tribes by France when they came in and began battling for control amongst their different sections of the country. In 1991, people were fleeing Somalia because of issues with hunger, rape, and death. There's a lot of people that fled to other African countries, but there were also multiple resettlement programs to bring them here to the U.S., as well as different countries in Europe. Now, they mainly live in New York, LA, Washington, D.C., and just recently there's big populations of Somali people in San Diego and Seattle. So their native language is Somali. It is similar to Swahili and Hebrew and Arabic. The second language they speak is Arabic because it's connected to their religion that I'll talk about a little bit later. They have in northern Somalia, they learn how to speak English as a second language that's taught in school. And in southern Somalia, they learn to speak Italian. So often people from Somalia, even if they've just recently moved, can speak full and fluent English. One of there's many gender roles, such as the concept of men and women being separate. Women are still allowed to work, but it's more common that they stay home with their families. But both men and women are educated. They both go through the same education system, and so most women are literate, just as the men are. So for marriage, it can be arranged or it could be by choice. They usually marry at 14 to 15 years old. Men can have up to 4 wives if they're wealthy. That was something interesting that I learned. In big cities, they usually have all of the wives have their own separate homes, but in the rural areas, they'll live in one big house to take care of the farmlands or anything together. So for family, they have a big value on extended family. So grandparents are going to live in the home, aunts and uncles might live in the home. If a young person is moving away, maybe for college or any other reason, they wouldn't live alone. They'll generally move wherever they're going and still live with someone connected to the family. Typically, Somali families are pretty big. They have 7 to 8 children on average. And again, those older family members are going to live with their children. They're very highly respected and they are very well taken care of. So for religion, 99% of Somali people are Muslim, Sunni Muslim, which is monotheistic. They believe in one God. Allah. Um, one of the biggest holidays that goes on that needs to be known about is Ramadan. It's the 9th month of the lunar calendar, and I was put it in the back of my mind to look up exactly when that is on our calendar, but I totally forgot. And it's 30 days of fasting and prayer. So often they're hungry and different things like that. One thing that we might need to know as interpreters, especially if we're interpreting in the community, is that during Ramadan, they'll only take medication at night. So if you're ever Huh?
Just kidding. I was trying to find it. I think April 24th is the beginning of Ramadan. I could be wrong, though. Sorry.
No, thanks for looking. I wrote it down and I was like, I'm going to look up what that means in our calendar instead of the lunar calendar, and I totally spaced.
Sorry to interrupt, is this still recording? Because I don't see it recording.
I'm recording through screen capture.
Okay.
We only have 12 more minutes, though. We should probably...
Sorry. All my other things are about cultural issues that probably we're not going to interact with.
Yeah, we should probably switch it up a little.
I can go.
Okay.
So mine is over African Americans, and I really wanted to do that because I have no experience, like, personally, growing up in a small Iowa town. So if there's something wrong, just let me know. But this book is, like, really great on a bunch of different ones. So obviously you guys kind of know the culture of them being slaves and things like that. So they didn't have any cultural identity, obviously, growing up. So they had to take on Caucasian, norms and religion and language. They have collectivist values and individualist values. And like the individual, you've seen like the personal style and creativity that they have. And the collectivist is like concern for others. They have that. Family is huge. They also have extended families living with them. Oftentimes it's one parent. Let's see. The eye gaze is really interesting. So if kids are listening to older people, they can't look at them. They have to like look away because it's a sign of respect. But if they are talking themselves, they can look at them. I thought that was interesting. You notice, I'm sure that they're more, I don't want to be stereotypical, but they're more assertive when they talk. So like larger signing space and emphasis. And a lot of white interpreters have a hard time. And we kind of learned this, like the Black vernacular. So it's like their English that they had to learn by being slaves mixed with their language. And so that's the vernacular part of it. And it's really hard for white Caucasian or white interpreters to show that. And I know Kelly said that we shouldn't try to show that because it offends them. So I thought that was interesting. Sorry, I have a bunch of notes that I wrote down too. They have a lot of regional signs. And like Black style sign language. And so a lot of different words that mean different things. So they're Baptists, blues and jazz are their music. A lot of their holidays like MLK, Black History Month, Juneteenth. Most of them are Democratic. A lot of their music is hip hop culture and graffiti, breakdancing, rapping. I'll stop there because I have a bunch more notes, but I know we have to get through everyone else.
I'll go, Erin, if you don't mind. Because I just have quick notes. So Indonesia's people, there's no Singlish Indonesian culture, so there's a variety, just like deaf culture. It's just, that's one common misconception. So don't think that because you're with one tribe, they're all the same. They're very diverse. They all have their own cultural aspects. Cultural signs are different from our signs. So if we're interpreting like pipe, how we would probably initialize pipe or sign pipe, their pipe is different. Their signs for weapons would be different. Their sign for drums would be different. they have distrust with people of European descent because of history. So that's something to keep in mind if one of us was interpreting, that they probably wouldn't straight up trust us in the beginning. And with their culture, everything is based off trust. They think if they don't view the interpreter as someone professionally working, it's more of someone that's in their group, they're tight-knit. They have a strong value on earth and Mother Nature. They're very big on environmental things, so that's something to know going in interpreting. They think pointing is extremely rude, so avoid pointing. Avoid eye contact is also disrespectful in a lot of their cultures, and they have a high value on their elders, and when an elder is speaking, the oldest person always has the floor, and a young person is never allowed to speak until there is time for it, until every older person in the room has spoken.
All right, I did the Hmong culture. Let's see, status, role, and prestige. So the man's social status is depends on the role he has in the community. And then elderly men typically are like the head of the, sorry, I'm trying to like read and summarize at the same time. So eldermen of your group or family typically are held in very high regard, but having a big family is valued, but does not give you a higher status. However, in America, the roles have changed because younger men typically are able to have a higher income and help with like the support the older generations financially. And so this has kind of like led to self-esteem issues in the older Hmong families, or Hmong, not Hmong. And same with women, like the older, there are distinct gender roles. So like older men and older women in America tend to feel like their value is being lost because they are being more supported by their family and children. They usually greet themselves or each other verbally. Men will shake hands. Shaking hands is a new behavior for the Hmong women, and they may be embarrassed to shake hands with a male, or if they hold their hands too tight during a handshake. Traditionally, Hmong women who are close to each other will hug as like an American greeting. When a person visits a family, all members of the family are expected to greet the guest by saying welcome, and it's like oi tui los, I don't know, which literally means you have come. And then when the guest leaves, they're encouraged to come back and visit again. To be respectful, one must ask to speak with the head of the household before conversing with the rest of the family. The culture tends to be humble and may not want to express their emotions in front of others, so they might not say no directly, even if they mean no. So they might say okay or yes instead of no. So instead of giving a firm positive or negative response, they might say like maybe or I'll try. So I think that would be something to consider if you're like interpreting and they're asked a direct question and want to say no, but don't say no. They might give a hesitant answer. Making direct eye contact is considered inappropriate and rude. So the person may look down or away rather than directly looking at the person. Smiling is considered a warm welcoming. It's very common for Hmong families to visit one another without setting up an appointment. They'll just like show up at their door, and it's considered inappropriate to tell visitors to go away. You're not supposed to touch a child's head. And to be so before you enter a Hmong house, the visitor should ask if they're allowed to enter, because traditional families might have just had like a shaman perform a ritual, such as when a woman has given birth, or to rid bad spirits. And if this happens in a period of time following the ritual, visitors are not allowed to come into the house wearing shoes, carrying handbags, or maybe not even allowed to come into the house. You should watch for a taboo sign out on the front of the house indicating the family should not be disturbed because the house is being protected from evil spirits. This sign may look like a cross made with sticks and some green leaves, or may consist of a simple cluster of green leaves and a white and black woven octagon shaped basket. If you observe this, don't knock on the door and don't enter the house. So, touching the heads. So most elders, especially men, do not want strangers due to this and personal values. It is considered dangerous to remark out loud about the cuteness or positive qualities of a child, as spirits may hear this and steal the child's soul. Okay, and last thing, Hmong families are clans, so you get your